Edit this later. I don't give a fuck.
Welcome to the first episode.
It's not a
Shut up.
podcast.
It is.
Okay.
If we talking about art,
We talking about art.
the show where we talk about art. Movies, TV, music, comics, manga, whatever.
Yeah.
Today, we're talking about Possession, the film
1981.
from 1981.
Hell yeah, baby.
I've already seen it. I'm Jimmy Two Shoes, because I got two shoes. And I'm here with my brother Nathan.
I want to do this.
And this is the first time you've seen it. We just watched it fucking 1 minute ago. So we're going to get his unfiltered thoughts about it. And me having seen it a couple times now.
I was
Hold on.
dude.
So, before we get into our thoughts, we got to get into something important, which is the entertainment art trash diagram.
You can't just make this up.
No, this is something we've talked about before. So,
We need a graph.
in my head, there is a Venn diagram, right? 3 circles. There is entertainment, there is art, and there's trash. Now, trash isn't bad. Trash is actually something I enjoy. It's something good, right? And so, I guess the best way to explain it is, for me, art is something that makes you feel something, right? Like a creator has an intention, a feeling, an idea, a theme that says something about themselves or other people or the world that they're trying to get across, right? And through any amount of time or any amount of space in whatever medium they've chosen, they can imbue this feeling so that when you experience that piece of art, you feel the same feeling. Entertainment is just entertainment. It is something to pass the time. My best example of like pure entertainment would be like the TV show King of Queens. Like there's nothing in King of Queens with Kevin James that says anything about people or the creator or the world around it. It is just there for you to pass the time.
But you could argue that they're meant to say a point, even if it's nothing with you with people. They just want you to laugh. They want you to cry.
Yeah, but that's not art.
It's
like
not.
Getting people to laugh and cry isn't necessarily art. Like that is entertainment.
Yeah,
like
that's
feeling humor or feeling sadness is ultimately entertaining. It isn't anything that sticks with you that makes you change your perspective on anything that really matters or consider a perspective on anything that matters. And then you have trash. Trash is something that is trying to be art but misses the mark. So usually things with wild plots. To me, trash is art that takes a wrong step somewhere, whether that's in the performance of actors or dialogue or plot. It is something that, because of the way it's made, it distracts you from the message and you're focused more on the actual physical elements that make it up. So, like, Face Off, for me, is the perfect movie that is trash. The plot is nonsensical and ridiculous, and the performances are insane. But it's more entertaining than entertainment because it tries for something and it fails. But it's so interesting in its pursuit of that thing that you want to keep watching. And for me, Possession 1981 is a perfect circle of trash and art. So now we're going to move on to feelings for Nathan. It is his first time seeing it, and I want to get his initial reactions. What did you think of it?
It's not meant as a comedy, but I laughed so fucking much at the absurdity. You brought up good points, right? It's Polish, Polish director.
Get closer to the mic.
Oh, Polish director. Obviously, there are elements, dialogues, and viewpoints that are very different from what us as in the Western are used to seeing, and seeing other viewpoints of certain dialogue options was very interesting. I can't. Jeez, bro. I think they tried their best. They really did. The actors tried their best. Like I said, I liked the female actor a lot. The female main, she was really good. But our boy Heinkel, I don't know what the fuck he was talking about, dude. I want to be completely honest. He went crazy. Yeah, the movie. Jeez.
I mean, overall, what did you think of it?
I honestly, after we got over that 30-minute hump, I was enthralled by the movie.
Yeah.
I was entertained. And it was only through you talking to me that I was actually getting certain things.
Yeah, because
extracting my own version of like what I was witnessing.
Yeah, because the first time I saw the movie, I went into the movie completely blind.
Yeah.
So I didn't understand half of what was happening. It was my second time watching it with you after I had done like a little bit of research on like what the movie is supposed to be about, that I could communicate some of that to you. So, you know, while you were watching the movie, you had some context. I had no context. So the first time I watched the movie, like I told you,
just sat there like,
the entire time I watched the movie, I was enthralled, but I also wanted to turn it off.
Yeah, turning off was thankfully you were here, because I would have, if I was watching it by myself, I would have turned that off within 20 minutes.
But are you glad you did?
The answer to that is very complicated. I can't tell if I'm glad I have finally witnessed this film, or if I'm just like glad it's over. You know what I mean? I don't know which one I feel. I don't know which one I feel. Right? I think I feel both at this point. I'm glad I watched it. I laughed a lot. I laughed a lot. But at the same time, like, I wasted 2 hours watching this shit, and it is art. It is art. He obviously
has a lot to say.
As spiteful and as...
Yeah, that's one of the things I mentioned to you, is that this is one of the most spiteful movies ever made. It is so spiteful against women. It, like, if you boil it down, the plot ultimately is that women are cheating whores, and through their cheating whorishness, they bring about the end of the world. That's the plot of the movie. That's spoilers, by the way.
It was crazy. Like, I felt so... And it's funny because he does a really piss poor job of like making me want to hate the female lead. Like, yeah, she's not a good person, but so is the guy. He's not a good person either.
The first time I watched the movie, I hated her.
Okay,
I thought she was the worst person who's ever lived.
But yeah, that's because you had no context. Though.
Exactly.
And
so
then
like,
when you got to understand
context,
possession and stuff, you're like, wait.
So having no context,
yeah,
the way you watch the movie, she's like maybe the
because at first I didn't like her. Yeah, I didn't like her anyways. And then when I saw the creature the first time and you said it, I was like, oh, and then you obviously made the point that it's not that it's giving her these thoughts and these feelings, it's that it's making all the thoughts and feelings she already has inside compounded in like 10 times, 100 times worse.
Yeah. And
it's just using that to imbue into her mind.
It's like the interesting thing, and the thing why I call it like the perfect overlapping circle of trash and art, is that most of the scenes in the movie are so overacted and et cetera, but like there are some scenes that, because they are overacted, it brings an intensity to it.
Yeah.
Like the scene where Heinrich films her on the camera in the ballet
studio. Yeah, I was very uncomfortable. Not even with just the little girl, but like because the stare and like the way the girl is like breathing.
The way she stares in the camera, the little girl's performance, her speech afterwards.
Yeah.
That's like one of the best scenes I've ever seen in any movie.
Yeah.
It's so good, and it communicates so well the feelings that this woman was having before she ended up no, she had already cheated on
She's already cheated on him by the point, but it's like
before she
was
gets
like
taken over by the creature.
Yeah,
like,
it was like the beginning.
Yeah. The feelings she's having and why the creature is... the feelings that she has that the creature is able to take advantage of and sort of overpower her.
Mm-hmm.
I think like, so after I originally saw the movie, like I told you, it instantly like jumped into my top 3 movies of all time. Like I fucking love this movie. This is the second time I've watched this movie in 3 days. I fucking love it. Like
it's
because I've never seen anything like it.
Yeah, that's actually a good point.
Like nothing even close.
I'm trying to think. Like, we watch a lot of like different movies over the years, and it's just, this is like one of those films where like I would have never known this existed unless you said it.
Like it has such a distinct artistic vision and voice.
Yeah.
Like it is such a product of the creator. And
of its time period.
Yeah. It is a very 80s movie down to the music, right? And even a lot of the ways that it's shot.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the things I also love about it. Like
I do like a lot of those practical camera uses.
I mean, if you're someone who's like really into film and really into cinematography, like this fucking movie's like right up your wheelhouse because it's just nothing. Like the movie is 60% crazy ass shots.
There are a lot of good shots. A lot of good shots.
And that's one of the things, like, to me. So for me, a lot of the times, when you're making a piece of art, you have to decide what medium does this piece of art take.
The medium is very important.
Because depending on the medium,
certain things won't even get across.
Yeah, it won't get across and won't be communicated.
Yeah.
And, this is why, like, there are certain things that don't work for me. So, like, you could compare this movie. For me, it's a movie about divorce. And I would compare the movie to, thematically at least, in terms of what the artistic message is. It's pretty self-explanatory, but the message that the artist is trying to communicate to the audience. It's very similar to two different movies. One, A Marriage Story with Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson, which is a movie I don't like. And also it's similar to a movie with, I forget her name, but Ryan Gosling is in it. It's called Blue Valentine.
Oh, yeah.
Which is a movie I very much do like. Michelle Williams, that's the actress's name. Blue Valentine is a really good movie.
Yeah.
It is a piece of art. I think Marriage Story, for a lot of reasons, fails. And I think this movie is the best. If those three movies are the same,
is this the one where he says, "Every day I wake up"?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's that fucking film.
So, like, if these movies and artistic message are the same, I think Possession does it the best, and here's why. Right? Like, there are certain ideas that you have to allot a lot of time to, right? Because so like divorce is something that doesn't happen right away.
No.
It is something that takes months, maybe even years to get to. And there are a lot of conversations along the way, right? And I'm a married guy, and there are conversations I've had with my wife and fights I've had with my wife that in the movie Possession are very similar. So, like, there was a lot of dialogue I really related to in the movie and really felt. But because the director has to fit it in a 2-hour window, right? If you tell the story of Possession over a season of television, it allows you a lot more silence. It allows you a lot more sort of pacing liberties. It allows you a lot more direct dialogue, right? Like what's the word? Like sitting on those emotions, letting the emotions and really delving deep into them, which is one of the things I described to you, which is the way the dialogue is written, is that the dialogue isn't written to be like logically consistent and follow from sentence to sentence. The dialogue is written in such a way that the words evoke a particular emotion or display the emotion of the character rather than being...
It's almost like they're trying to be as like direct as possible and letting you know like this is what
I'm feeling rather than this is what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Right? And that's one of the huge themes of the movie is Mark, the main character, is trying to understand Anna's feelings. He keeps telling her, I want to know what you're thinking.
Explain it to me.
Exactly. Explain it to me. And rather than explain in logical, sort of rational A to B to C thoughts, she explains it in words that convey a feeling.
Yeah.
Which works for me. And a lot of people complain about this movie because of the overacting or the camera work. And the camera work is meant to convey the intensity of the scene. And the scene has to be intense because it has to be condensed because they don't have as much time in a TV show.
Yeah.
So it's like trying to tell the story of 6 months over the course of a 2-hour film. So you don't have the time to convey all these logical thoughts the characters are happening. You can only convey the feelings, which is why I don't mind the overacting. I don't mind the dialogue. I don't mind the frenetic camera work. It all actually complements each other in creating a film for me that is entertaining in every single second that it's on screen. Like, there is never a second. I know for you, the first 20 minutes were iffy, which I can understand if you don't have the context for the film.
More, especially with the more context. Now I'm able to like look back and be like, oh, because at first it's called Possession. immediately my brain was like, oh, there's gonna be a supernatural element.
Yeah, like you
And
think
it
it's
took-
like an Exorcist movie.
Yeah,
It's not.
It's not. And I guess that's my own fault for coming in expecting some a little more Exorcist. When like I came in and I was like, what the fuck is going on? The scene where he meets all the guys in the fucking room, and they're all just like, what the fuck was the plan?
Yeah, well, like that takes place with the B story, which is
the B
like
story
Mark
doesn't
is
make
a
any fucking
spy, I
sense.
think, and it's never really explained.
But
Pink
the guy in the
Socks is
pink
never really
socks-
explained. Like it's very confusing.
Yeah.
So I understand that part. Like,
But like and especially once they first met up, when he went back the first time, they started arguing and everything, and I was like, what is happening? Like, she's not explaining anything. Like, I'm kind of not understanding what's going on, right? And then when you brought up like it's called possession, and then she goes and she's like almost looks like that she's fighting something. I was like, that makes a little more sense now, because she constantly looks like she's on the verge of wanting to say something but just can't.
yeah, because the creature has control over her.
And it's like, fuck.
And it's like, even with that though, I don't think the movie is called Possession because she's like sort of mentally possessed by the creature. I think it's called Possession because of the way the different men in her life feel possessive of her.
Yeah, almost everyone is
like
possessive.
like
of her.
Heinrich like kind of straight up says it in the
Yeah.
scene that he goes to like the house that her and the creature are in, where he's like, you know, you're mine.
Yeah.
Right? Like, so I
I know
think
what I
that's-
want.
I think that's where the sort of title of the movie comes from.
I mean, and even Mark, to be honest, like
Yeah, Mark certainly feels possessive of her.
Yeah, it's especially with
He's his or she's his wife.
Yeah.
You know?
you are mine, and it's like bro, like gee, you're not helping the situation in the slightest. But of course, you couldn't really know until the end, of course, what was even going on to begin with.
Yeah.
And fuck.
Well, I think it's interesting. I think the creature, whether you think it's God or the Antichrist, I think it the reason it takes hold of Mark and not any of the other male characters that go to the apartment and die is because I think in the same way that Anna says she creates her own evil, there is a certain amount of evil in her heart and evil that she's done to
Yeah.
Mark and splitting up their family that allows the creature sort of window to worm its way into her mind. And I think the creature worms its way into Mark's mind because he also has that
He's
evil
also
within him.
evil, yeah.
And he does things that are evil, like sending Heinrich to the apartment, even though he knows like the two detectives that went there haven't gone back and they're probably dead. He sends him there to die. So I think it's that same kind of thing. And we were talking throughout the movie about this sort of Anna not wanting Mark to touch her, and I thought that was a really interesting artistic choice and really got across the message. And I think the whole scene where Anna slaps him and he tells her to do it again.
Yeah, do it again.
Because
Yeah.
he just wants to feel her hands ultimately.
Yeah.
And then him hitting her as another way to sort of establish connection. And her sort of emotions were like in the scene, she doesn't even look mad or sad or hurt. She looks like almost connected with him. And then the creature sort of takes over. She runs away. And,
yeah.
and there's like that drastic juxtaposition in her performance in the movie and the way the scene is shot when they're in the streetway and she walks away. And it's like weird in the music cue that happens there.
Yeah, when she walks towards the fucking truck and it's like,
Yeah.
well, what the fuck's going on? It's like,
She is so conflicted. She wants to get hit by the truck, but the truck sort of swerves away at the last moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the music in this movie is also very underrated. I think the music stings.
Very interesting choices for a lot of, especially like those little tense scenes where they do I don't know what the fucking thing is called, where it's kind of like rubbing, like the ridges are rubbing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, what's it called? But like, it's discordant. That's what the word. It's like very discordant. Like there's no real rhythm to it. That's what gets the tenseness going, especially because like, you know, we as humans love rhythm in our music. And when you have discord going, it's supposed to show that there's a, you know, tenseness. There's supposed to be something going on. And I liked a lot of the tense scenes because the camera work was really good for a lot of those scenes on the faces and using like the dark to hide certain parts of the face. Especially like that one scene where he's like looking up.
Yeah.
And he's got the dark eyes and he's like staring out. You see the lights in his pupils, which I was like, dang, that's actually pretty good.
So before you had watched the film, I told you this is one of the most spiteful movies against women ever created. Do you agree with that claim? What do you think
I don't-
about the spitefulness?
It's definitely spiteful. Every woman in this movie is
Awful. They're kind of all.
they're
awful.
very awful, and it's like I guess I'm trying to reach for like something to be like, oh, like maybe there's a reason for it, or I'm trying to be rational when like the movie itself is like no, they're not rational.
It's not rational.
And it's like what the fuck, man? And like the one glimmering hope was when the teacher was like, not all the only thing every woman has the same as menstruation. And I was like, hey, that's pretty cool. And then immediately afterwards,
His Riz is too good.
His
Hold
Riz.
on. This is the Mark has the most Riz segment.
Oh my god.
I don't know how he seduced her, dude. He's just got it like that, dude. He's just got
What
it.
did he say? He was like, all women are plights are like fuck.
Fuck, what exactly? I can't even remember what exactly was the line.
Do I have the movie still up?
But it's like women are like my tormentor or something.
Yeah, it's so crazy. So I can find the scene.
Cut this.
That was gonna fucking go after this movie. Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. But if you haven't seen the movie, by the way, if you're listening to us talk about this, while you're listening to this too, if you haven't watched this movie, watch this movie. I highly recommend this movie. Nathan, I don't know if you recommend this movie to others.
If you love films, like if you're here to watch Marvel movies,
If you love art,
if you are here to be entertained, don't watch this movie. You're not going to be entertained. It's very unlikely you're going to be entertained, and you're probably not going to get past the first 20 to 30 minutes. But if you like films for the very art of them, if you like films because you love the medium, you love like what it brings, what they can say, what a film can say, and you love art and like what it possesses, then definitely watch this movie. Watch it with a friend if you can't watch this by yourself. Because, yeah, I don't see myself watching this by myself.
Yeah, I watched this by myself. A very different experience than watching it with someone.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, the
the
whole time I wanted to... I had no context, and I just wanted to turn it off the entire time. But I just kept watching it. There's something about it that just kept me going.
Honestly, I would honestly recommend watching it by yourself. It's just to get the full experience. No context, no one talking to you.
Watching this movie with no context is a crazy experience, and I do kind of recommend it. It is like watch it by yourself first, and then watch it with a friend or somebody you know, because both experiences are very different. But I both think they're pretty great. Yeah, honestly.
Yeah, it was very enjoyable hearing certain because it's also you weren't even trying to give full context. You were also giving just your interpretation of scenes. And then I was like, yeah, I could see that, but also like this, and you're like, yeah, okay, I could see it from there. It's very interesting hearing, a different side to what we were watching, and like also being given puzzle pieces to like things I may have noticed but didn't understand, or things that I was like not piecing together all the way correctly. Not to say that like I don't even think you have this entire film completely.
No, I don't think you can.
Which
like,
is
there are a lot of things I don't understand.
Yeah.
Like the Helen teacher character, I don't completely understand. Like I get that she so the thematic element of why Helen and the creature end up being Anna and Mark is that at the end of the day what they really wanted was just each other.
Yeah,
like a different version of each other, but they just wanted each other to change so that they could continue being together and it wouldn't hurt so much. Mark wasn't around, so Anna really wanted just Mark to be there.
Yeah,
and I guess Mark wanted a version of Anna that was complacent with being a mother and a wife.
Yeah.
Right, which is what Helen is, right? She comes in, she
starts taking care of the kids.
Bob, she puts him to sleep.
The kid's name is Bob, by the way.
Yeah, weird.
The fucking German kid's name is Bob.
Well, he's not German. It takes place in Germany, but the father is English, the mother is French.
Yeah.
Bob.
That doesn't make it any better.
I don't. Look, I'm not gonna defend it. It's weird.
Okay, but yeah, I mean, yeah, and like, she was exactly what that's exactly like that was his, especially because they're played by the same actor too.
Yeah,
like when I like first noticed her, I was like, "Why the fuck is she looking?" And then obviously he says, "Oh, are you wearing a wig?" And
Is this a joke? Are you wearing a wig?
It's like you don't just walk up to someone and say that. But as obviously he rizzes her up and everything, I'm like, this is what he wanted, but he couldn't. But he was too broken to even keep it.
Well, he just wasn't even around.
He wasn't even around. Yeah, because he got left off. He still abandoned her and Bob most of the time, and still ran off to go do his own thing. Jeez.
You know, the main thing in the movie that doesn't make sense to me, that I just don't understand, is like once I can sort of understanding that like the cafe scene where Mark says to Anna, you can live in the apartment, you can keep Bob, I don't even want to see him. Like I kind of get that, and that like, okay, he doesn't want to see his son because it reminds him too much of his wife and it's painful. And that he also acknowledges like, hey, I haven't been around and I don't want to be a Sunday father, a part-time father. It's fucked up enough. Like it's going to lead to more fucked up feelings for Bob.
For Bob.
Like I get that, but it's also like when you watch the film, even after Mark is infiltrated by the creature mentally, he's still a very good father to Bob.
He's definitely
very caring.
He's definitely caring. I can't say he takes care of his child's needs,
but he's also like very understand. Like when Bob comes home, like someone who has a child who makes a lot of messes.
Yeah, it's very understanding. That's true.
Like if I came home and there was a mess all over the fucking apartment and his face was smeared with jelly, I wouldn't be nearly as calm of like, oh, you've made a mess. Let's take that shirt off and get a bath. I'd be like, what the fuck, dude? What's your fucking problem,
What's your problem, kid?
Like, I'd be there with like anger, you know what I mean? Rightfully so, but Mark isn't. He's very understanding. And
you can also chalk it up as him being gone for so long. He doesn't have to actually deal with the kid every day. So, of course, he has a tolerance for what the kid does. But imagine you're there every day, I guess. But
I don't have to imagine. I am.
Yeah, I know you are. But I see what you're saying. Like, he's not inherently a bad father. He really isn't. That is to say, he's still not a good person. But
no, Mark is a terrible person.
He's a terrible person.
They're both awful people, which is something that I appreciate about the film. As spiteful as the film is towards women,
it doesn't take its mean to be like Mark is the actual like Mark and Heinrich and all these men.
Oh, they're such good guys. Yeah. They didn't deserve this. No, like
all these guys are like
they're also pieces of shit in their own way.
Yeah,
which I feel like is so like the movie is based on the director. His wife left him for another man, and it's based on his experience in that. And so Mark is obviously kind of the surrogate for him.
Yeah, and
he does place some of the fault and the blame on Mark, which he places on himself, right? Which is like, which is fair. If a relationship is going well, most women are going to fucking just cheat on their husband. Like, not to say that it's the husband's fault. It
could be a number of things, man. It's never just one person's fault. I mean, I won't say that. It can't always just be one person's fault.
But also, Heinrich is a fucking chat.
Heinrich is cool as fuck.
Heinrich is the boy in this movie, dude.
He is a lad. I love Heinrich. He's so cool. When he appeared, I looked at you and said, like, what the fuck am I looking at? And you're like, just watch. I'm like, whatever.
The karate master.
At first, I just thought he was gay because, like, when he walked in, he had the shirt, down. But like, I realized it wasn't that he's just so fucking comfortable.
He's a dandy.
Dandy.
He's a dandy. Yeah,
he's just very comfortable, very avant-garde, and so sure of himself. I was like, dude, what the fuck?
You know what I love about Heinrich is that Heinrich is like. He is no different from Mark in that he is possessive of Anna and is controlling.
But he admits it freely.
But he also gives the illusion of, I've opened her mind and I've freed her to all that hippie bullshit, right? But he just uses that as another method of manipulation.
Yeah, exactly.
So he's not any better of a person. He's also a fucking piece of shit.
He's a piece of shit. He is.
Yeah, he's also a fucking asshole.
He's an entertaining piece of shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's what I love about it. But he also doesn't make excuses. He doesn't go, oh, it's for the best of our family, for the best of our child. He just goes, no, I want it for me. That's why I do
I had a wife and daughter, and, I just...
I wanted some fucking pussy.
I was like, bro, what the fuck? Relax. Heinrich, please. Yeah, I mean... And what a way to die too. Yeah, that's
Yeah, drowned in a toilet of throw up and shit.
throw up and shit. Just fucking
Yeah, shout out to the boy, dude. R.I.P.
What a guy. What a dude.
I mean, do you have anything else to say about the movie?
The creature. I guess we can't really talk too much about the creature. It's
originally the guy who did the special effects when he originally brought in the creature. It was just a dick monster, and the director was like, "We have to add like arms and legs to sing, dude." I'm like, this is too literal.
So that scene where
there's no substance. Yeah.
Okay.
So that that's why the creature has like tentacles and shit.
Yeah, because then you're just implying that she just wanted to have sex. But no, she wanted a true connection with Mark. Because Mark was the only thing for her that she wanted. And of course, when the creature comes up...
Well, what do you think about the message that ultimately a woman's hoardiness leads to the end of the world? To nuclear holocaust?
That ending was... The kid just walked in...
So Bob walks in the bathtub, goes head first in, but we know Bob can breathe underwater for a long time. It's something he's been training for. So he doesn't definitively die at the end, but he probably does.
I think it's
everybody
implied,
probably dies.
I think it's implied that
it is implied that like the creature is the Antichrist.
Yeah, because he comes to the door. He's like, "Don't open it." You know, Pandora's box. Don't open it. Don't open it.
Yeah, which is hinted towards earlier when Helen, the teacher, says, you know, he's so sensitive, he understands everything.
Yep. And the creature's like just right outside the door.
Yeah. So he knows it's not his dad.
Yeah.
He's begging her not to open it.
I really thought there was a connection because of the green eyes, but when I saw her eyes for a second time, I was like, I guess they're not as green as I remember.
If you're listening to this and you understand why Helen and the creature, when it transforms into Mark, both have green eyes, let me know, because I don't understand.
I thought they were connected, but I guess I was wrong. It could have been like his was like a spirit. No, it's not spiritual. She had to use...
Maybe it's a thematic connection, and that they're both surrogates for what the partner wants, which is each other. Maybe that's the connection. Maybe it's not a literal connection.
Because she had to kill to get the creature the way it was, whereas Mark just met her.
Yeah.
There has to be a reason. They're probably not even connected anyways, but I'm just wondering if there's a reason.
There has to be a reason? There doesn't have to.
There doesn't have to be.
It's art, brother. There doesn't have to be a reason.
I would like there to be a reason. You know, that's the better way to say it. I would like to be a connection, but honestly, I'm fine with there not being a connection. Because it probably isn't, honestly. I don't know. The green eyes just threw me off for a second. That's all it was. When you told me to guess, and I was like, I guess I was technically right. They do kill each other, but...
Yeah.
When she's walking up and you're like, even you said like, oh, she's with the creature. I was like, it's fucking Mark, isn't it?
Yeah, and at the end when she's dying and she finally willingly makes like, you know, that physical connection with Mark him and kisses him.
Like that was like her one and only, like, I guess true, like connection with him was just that. And that, I mean, sucky way to go, I guess, but.
You know, and that brings up the whole, like, God, like, Mark, you know, is like, oh, God to me is a disease. And I guess, like, you could interpret that disease as the creature. Yeah. Right? As this sort of disease of lust, as the disease of romance, as the disease of something else outside of what I have. Mm-hmm. That's kind of how I interpret it. And sort of Anna's emotions feed the creature into growing until its final form, and then obviously she offers him multiple like blood sacrifices, yeah, for killing them, which she does sort of unwillingly under his control. So,
and he didn't have to, because he was possessed too, and he didn't have to at all. He
does. He sacrificed Heinrich.
Oh yeah. Oh, you're right. Yeah,
and under implication, Heinrich's mom. It doesn't show it, but it's implied that he kills her.
Okay. Yeah, you're right. That makes sense. Yeah. Damn. Yeah, because he's the maker of his own evil.
Yeah, at the end of the day, his feelings towards Anna about their relationship are what the creature uses to infiltrate his mind.
Yeah, and he helped it, and
you know, so like. When he walks in on the tentacle hentai scene of the creature and Anna having sex,
that's gonna You're breaking me.
She's saying almost, and on first watching, you can imply that on as like, oh, I'm almost gonna come, but what it really means is the creature's almost ready.
He just needed the mom.
And Mark understands because he has a connection to the creature now, and he gets it, and he's like, oh, it's almost ready, and which is why he leaves him alone and doesn't try to kill them. It's only when he sees that the creature is him that he tries to shoot it.
He's like, no, it's like, bruh, you're your own evil. You're the fucking disease. Well, he's the disease.
He does make his own evil by being gone all the time, which is where these feelings from Anna stem from, and why she does the things that she does. Yeah. Not to excuse her actions either.
No, of course not. No, it's not. It doesn't excuse her actions.
Like, it's just when you choose to cheat on your spouse, like that's a choice you make. There's no justification.
No, of course not. No.
There's reasons why you choose to make that decision, but ultimately
they don't ever justify why you've done it. But it's just like you can have your reasons. There's nothing. It's like. That makes you human, but don't try to come out at. I'm glad Anna never, not anywhere in the film. Has she ever tried to justify? Did she try? Did the creature try to justify it?
She doesn't try to justify. She does
She just lets it out.
Explain her feelings. She never tries to explain the rationale, but she tries to explain her feelings.
Yeah, and
then the creature's influence takes over. And
that's why she feels. Yeah, I think that's what I like about the film.
By the way, if you watch this film and you don't understand, like, why in a moment does Anna go from hot to cold, where she's there at the apartment and then the music sting happens, she feels like she has to leave. It's because at that moment the creature's influence takes over completely, and that's why she starts acting weird and doing shit like rubbing her wrists and shit and her hands together.
It's almost like she's like having her arms tied up when she's trying to
exactly. It is bondage. It is the creature's possession of her, which again comes back to the theme of possession. So like that explains her performance in that. It's not like some weird artistic choice. It does have like an actual deliberate narrative purpose.
Her body contorts like the darkness in my soul.
Yeah, and then So, I mean, out of 10, a score out of 10.
I don't think I can rate this movie because
I'd give it an 8.7 out of 10. It has faults. But
as far as...
But I am willing to accept its faults for its message, for its style, for its entertainment value. It is not a perfect movie by any means.
No.
But it is, at this point in time, and I've watched a lot of movies. It is I've consumed a lot of media in general. I've talked about you. I've read over like 1,000 manga.
Yeah.
I've read thousands of comic books. Mm-hmm. I listen to a ton of music, and I've watched a lot of TV shows and movies. It's probably in my top 5 pieces of art. It's an 8.7 out of 10, but despite its faults, I think its strengths are so good.
Yeah, that it transcends that because it doesn't have to be a perfect 10 for it to be that high.
No, not at all.
Of course. I mean, I wouldn't ever watch this movie again unless you were with me. I don't...
I can understand that. I disagree, but I can understand that.
Yeah, I don't...
Because I got a lot out of watching it the second time. I understood a lot more.
But that's only because we were watching it together and you can watch it again. Having you here and also being...
Watching it on my own again, I don't know if I'd do it.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I would have to watch it again with you and nothing else. I cannot...
Or show it to a friend who's never seen it. Show it to one of your friends who's
never seen it. It has to be a film buff friend. It has to be a film buff friend. That's the only time I can show
you could probably show it to, Cabell?
Maybe.
Yeah, you could probably show it to Cabell. I think he might get it. Because me and him have talked about Evangelion before. I think he could probably get it.
Yeah, that's true too, but god damn. That's a hard sell.
This movie is a very hard sell, by the way.
Honestly, I think like a 7 out of 10 for me, like just straight 7. Like it's
flat score, rookie score. Dude.
The movie gets everything across. Not everything.
One watch, everybody knows the rules. Fucking rookie score.
Rookie score. It's definitely lower. Well, I really like this movie. Like I really enjoyed it.
You're not a movie guy though. So for you, like a 7 is like not a bad score.
It's not a bad score. Not for me. Not for me. No.
For you,
I don't. It's not that I don't like movies. I just don't consume a lot of movies because consuming video games are my consumption. That's my main consumption. I played a million fucking video games. I could talk about video games all day. Movies. Depends. I've watched a lot of movies, but I can't say I've watched as many movies as you have. But from the limited, I guess we'll say, movies that I've watched, this is definitely top 5 of like the most interesting movies, top 3 of the most interesting movies I've ever fucking seen.
Yeah, it is definitely interesting.
That is
you can say whatever you want about this movie. It definitely grabs your attention. It's interesting.
It grabs your attention and it goes in ways that you didn't even think
grabs
you
it
were
and it
going
doesn't
to
like
go.
it. It just drags you along, whether you like it or not.
You would not know what the fuck you would not know where this movie is going without someone at least explaining some part of this movie. Because even towards the end, I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, there's still some things, after 2 rewatches and me diving deep into sort of people explaining the movie that I don't understand.
The B plot is
I
like
don't
the biggest
understand
thing for
towards
me.
the end what Mark does with the cops. I don't get
this
that
is the
at
one
all.
thing that I think keeps the movie down to a 7. If that B plot was like something,
the pink socks, the sort of spy espionage plot, I don't
part,
get.
I just don't
at all.
understand what the fuck.
I don't get it at all either. Yeah,
was he infiltrated?
I don't understand what the piece of art is trying to say
Because
in that
espionage, it's just it's so weird. It kind of just because the movie starts with with the scene when he gets back, and then obviously it gets to the scene where he's like, "Hey, name your successor and shit." I'm like, what? If you hadn't told me espionage spy or anything, I would have known. I'd be like, what is this for? Like a job? What is this for? I don't understand what's going on. But it's never brought up again. Like. Yeah, it's never brought up. It's never brought up until towards the end.
Well, I think one of the thematic elements is like the B plot. There's obviously context in that it takes place in West Germany.
Yeah,
and it's right at the Berlin Wall.
Yeah, of course.
And you have the East Germans who are constantly
spying
on Mark with the binoculars. So, the theme of the movie is sort of the division between Mark and Anna. Right, which is a parallel between the division between West and East Germany, between capitalism and communism, et cetera, whatever. And so all that stuff thematically makes sense, but in a plot sort of rational explanation, I don't understand. Like you said, the B plot between Mark and the spies and the pink socks and his employers, I don't get any of that. Same as you. I've watched the movie twice.
You would have to watch
and even after listening and watching and reading explanations, I don't get what that plot is about.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you have an explanation in the comments, leave it.
I kind of want an explanation so fucking badly. Yeah. What does it mean, bro?
So, Nathan gives it a 7 out of 10. I give it an 8.7 out of 10. That's a review. Join us whenever this is... Alright, look, I ain't going for it. Yeah, so join us next week, next 2 weeks, next month, 2 months from now. I don't know when we're going to record this.
I mean, I'm glad.
I don't know. There's a couple things I got in the can. Things I got.
Part of me's kind of glad you just made me do this. Just like
I made him podcast this, by the way. He didn't want to.
I was like, what the fuck is going on?
But there's a couple things I want to cover. I wanted to cover or cover the discography of Dance Gavin Dance. Me and Nathan's favorite band.
That's so good.
I want to cover the first season of True Detective. I don't know if I have a lot to say about it that hasn't already been said. I want to cover the show Hannibal. I want to cover Code Geass.
I want to cover video games, bro. I have so many fucking takes.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a lot of stuff I want to cover. The next episode will come out whenever it fucking comes out,
baby.
There's a lot of stuff I want to cover. So if you think we have any interesting thoughts, stay tuned. I don't know. You're fucking gay. Hail Jesus Christ.
Signing out. Hail Jesus Christ.
Signing out.